If you want to take your factory to the next level in Ultimate Mining Tycoon and earn money faster than ever before, this video is for you. I have created 4 new layouts for the mid to late game that you definitely should miss out on. I will also cover which upgrades to prioritize, along with some tips and tricks that you might not have known. Let's begin. Alright, so we're going to be continuing from where we ended the previous video, with the circuit maker and ring maker layouts. At this point, you should honestly just get yourself some equipment upgrades. And the first upgrade that you should get is the mini truck. The 56 capacity is amazing, trust me. At this point on, you should also get yourself the medium backpack. And as well as a new backpack, you should also get yourself the platinum pickaxe. With the platinum pickaxe, you're able to mine a little bit more efficiently. With this new gear, you can also get yourself your first dynamite, the dynamite bundle level 1. Unless you already bought it, of course. When going into the mines now, you're now a lot more prepped than you were previously, so a strategy that I suggest using at this point, go to the red area and then you just start digging yourself into the rocks, dig yourself 2 spots in and then just place the dynamite. Now you'll be able to find some of the most valuable ores that you're able to mine, and you'll be making back the money in no time. A small trick when it comes to gems is that if you see these small sparkles like this, you know there will be a gem behind there somewhere, so you can just mine like this and you'll see that there's a gem behind. Okay, so after just one quick trip to the mines, we made 24k. And just do this one more time and you're already able to afford the first layout upgrade, which is the tempering forge. The tempering forge tempers metal, it strengthens it and doubles its value. In other words, the tempering forge is really good. You will get twice the amount of money when you buy this. So by buying yourself a tempering forge, we can now just modify this layout slightly to make space for a tempering forge. And how you'll be doing this is you will just be moving every single thing just one step to the side like this, except for these, because we'll be placing the tempering forge right here behind the normal forge and then just a conveyor like this. Now this concludes the first layout. The next upgrade you can get after this is the alloy furnace. The alloy furnace combines 2 different metal bars into one alloy bar, combining and adding 20% to their value. So with the alloy furnace, we're now able to make 20% more money. But actually there is a trick here, which I'm going to show you, that makes the alloy furnace even better than 20%. We will also be needing a filter towards the left. As well as that, we will be needing 2 upwards elevators and 2 downwards elevators. We will also be needing a splitter to the right. And finally, you can just buy a bunch of conveyors, like 30 or something. So for the alloy furnace upgrade, we can honestly just delete absolutely everything on the plot and start all the way from scratch. First thing we're going to place is a polisher like this, and then we're going to add a filter to the left. This filter will filter out our gems. Now after we filter the gems, we can add an ore cleaner, which cleans the rest of the ores, and an ore smelter. After the smelter, we're going to use a splitter. After placing the splitter, we will now be placing the conveyors like this, and then placing an alloy furnace on the end like so. There will be 2 inputs, which will be 2 different metal bars, and then 1 output, which will be the alloy bar. So from here, we're going to place the tempering forge on right side with overflow splitter to the right like this. And now we're going to take the conveyors and we're going to drag them around like this and send them back to the tempering forge. Here's a strategy that I'm going to explain to you. So for the alloy furnace, apparently how it works is that if you don't temper the left bar, the alloy bar won't be tempered, meaning you can temper it an additional time. So by just tempering the right bar and not the left bar, you'll be able to add an additional tempering on the alloy bar. So the alloy bar goes back into here, and then there will be an overflow splitter like this. How it works is that the alloy bar is not able to go back into the alloy furnace, therefore it's going to go in the overflow direction. Now we can place an upwards elevator facing in this direction, and we're going to be adding a conveyor, a coiler, an additional conveyor, and a downwards elevator facing in this direction. And right here, we're going to be placing our circuit maker like this. And on the end here, we can then add our electronic tuner and a seller. For the gems, what we're going to do is we're just going to add a gem cutter like this, and we're just going to send the gems like this The reason we're not doing anything with the gems this time is because of the alloy bars. The amount of stone and the amount of metal will be the exact same, so the circuit maker will be able to get 100% of the bars and there won't be any extras. As for the stone, we can't just send them straight into here, so we're going to add an upwards elevator facing in this direction, and then we're going to send it backwards like this into a crusher, and then we're going to turn and send them into a kiln. Now we're going to turn back again, send it to this way and place a polisher that polishes the glass. And now, instead of going straight back in, we gotta go a little bit of a turn like this because we need a little bit of a buffer. The reason we need a buffer is because it will take a long time for the alloy bars to walk all the way around here and into the circuit maker. Therefore, we need a little bit of a buffer like this. And here we can just place a final downwards elevator like so. And we have finished the second layout. Now you can see that the bars will be split into both the tempering forge and they will go into the alloy forge like this. And you'll see that it is a new alloy bar here, but it is not tempered as you can see. But for the ones that are tempered, you can see that it says tempered. So now the alloy bars will then go back into here and they will go into the tempering forge and then back up here into the overflow, and it will go up here and be tempered as you can see. As for the glass, it will be like a big buffer like this until the alloy bar arrives, then the glass will start to go into the circuit maker. So the buffer makes sure that you won't be losing out on any glass. As you can see, a typical tin circuit now made $690. Now the next layout costs 190k, but we should actually just now go and buy ourselves the C4 level 1. Now you will experience that upgrade from the Dynamite bundle level 1 to C4 level 1 is absolutely huge. Mining will now be so much more efficient, especially when you're going down into the red area. Alright, so the third layout we're going to make is an Electromagnet layout. This layout costs 190k with upgrades that will make it cost 250k. Okay, so the Electromagnet layout will be built slightly similar than this one. We can honestly just delete everything from the side like this. And we also need to remove the coiler here because it's just going to be a normal conveyor. But else than that, this is what we're going to keep. Okay, so for this layout, we need a lot of new components. So let me just go through every single thing that we are going to need for this layout. The first thing that we're going to need for this layout is a magnetic machine. This combines a metal coil and a metal casing to make an electromagnet worth 1.5x the combined value. As it says, the magnetic machine needs metal casing. The metal casing is made in the casing machine. This combines a metal frame and metal bolts and a metal plate to create a metal casing worth 1.3 times the combined value. So for the metal casing, we're going to need a frame maker. A frame maker combines a metal bar and metal bolts to make a metal frame worth 1.25 times the combined value. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is a sifter. A sifter scans dust with a 10% chance of producing a random low hardness ore. Now we're also going to need a plate stamper, which makes metal plates out of metal bars, adding 20 in value. Now we're also going to need a bolt machine, which makes bolts out of metal bars, adding +5 value. Else in these machines, we're going to need 2 filter to the left, 2 splitter to the right, 1 splitter to the left, and a 3-way splitter. Else than that, just buy a bunch of conveyors. Now here, on the start, we will already be placing a filter towards the left. This filter will be filtered towards all the gems. What you can do now is you can add a polisher and an ore cleaner like this. So we can start by building the gem and stone part first. And to do that, we're going to combining them like this. I'm going to add an upwards elevator. Here we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conveyor belts. For the upgrade, this will be the gem prospectors, but for the main layout, we're just going to use without. And here we're going to filter to the right, and we're going to filter out the gems again. Now the gems are going to be sent down like this, and then just straight forward like this. What's going to be filtered in here is the stone. The stone will then be crushed and sent into a sifter. A A sifter is actually really good because yes, it might produce tin, but it can actually produce ores up to uranium, possibly even gold. So a sifter itself is a really good add-on to use for the stone. As you can see, the sifter outputs dust on this side and ore on this side. So the ore on this side, we can just send back like this. But since we need the ore to go all the way to the front again, we now need to add another filter right here, a filter towards the left. And this filter will be filtered towards all ores. And now we're just going to send all the ores back into the start like this. But because there might be a lot of ores that might clog itself up like here, what we need to do now is we need to just delete this one right here. We're going to add an overflow splitter to the left. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to drag a long stripe like this, which will work as a buffer, so it just won't clog up the entire system. As for the dust output, I'm going to be adding a kiln like there, and then we're going to add a polisher that will polish both the gems and the glass, and we're going to cut the gems, and it's just going to be sold. So we can place our seller right here. Now it's time for the actual metal setup. We're going to start by just adding 2 conveyors like this, and we're going to be building in this square right here. Because the magnetic machine requires so many different components, metal casing, which then needs frame, bolts and plates, which the frames then need bars and bolts, we're going to split all the metal into 3 different parts like this. And then again, we're going to split with a filter towards the left and forwards like this. So this will be 1/6 and this will be another 1/6. And we're going to need bolts for both the frame and for the casing. That's why we're going to place a bolt machine here that will take 2/3 and make it into bolts. Now we're going to be placing our frame maker now, which we can place just like this. And the frame maker needs bolts and a metal bar. So we're going to just send 1 metal bar in like this from this splitter. Now we're just going to send the bolts around like this, and we don't want all bolts inside, we want just one of them. So we're going to use a splitter towards the right. Now, for the casing machine, we need metal frame, metal bolts, and metal plate. And the metal bolts will be sent here, frame will be sent here, and then we just need a final metal plate with a plate stamper. Now we're going to just place the casing machine like this. Make sure it's facing in the right direction, like so. So the arrow points in this direction. Now we can just send all the conveyors around so that they go into the casing machine and it can make casing. All right, we're now almost done with this setup. The only thing we need is the magnetic machine, which combines metal coil and metal casing to make an electromagnet. So we're going to place it like this. The output will then be on this side. So we can honestly just take the downwards elevator and send it into the cellar. And then we're going to add the metal casing right here. So an upwards elevator in this direction, and then just a conveyor. It's no problem that it just goes straight into the wall. It will go through. It looks weird, but it works, okay? As for this side, we need a metal coil, but because we have 6 different metal that goes through here, but we only need 5 metal components to not make the math just go wrong, what we're going to do is we're going to add a splitter towards the right and send 1 metal back again, so it goes back to the start, while the other metal that goes through this splitter, which will be 1/6, will then be put into a coiler, which then sends it into the electromagnet. And this concludes our electromagnet setup. If you want to upgrade the electromagnet setup, what you can do is you can simply just delete these 5 conveyors and you can get yourself the different prospectors. A prospector has a 5% chance of destroying stone that passes through it, putting it into a specific gem. In this case, we're looking at the diamond prospector. So just buy 1 of each type of prospector. Start with the diamond because the diamond is the best. So we want the highest chance for diamond. And then we're moving on to the ruby, the sapphire, the emerald, and finally the topaz. Now, on average, 25% of the rocks going through here will be turned into a gem and be sold at a much higher value than what the rocks would be otherwise. The rest of the rocks will go through the sifter, either just remain dust or be turned into an ore, just to give us that slightly bonus earning. This finally concludes our 3rd layout, the electromagnet layout. Once you've built the 3rd layout, the next layout will cost $1 million. So for that reason, we can honestly just start upgrading our gear again. First upgrade you should get is the super crawler. With a capacity of 180, you're able to earn some big bucks when going for those dives. What you should also get at this point is a new pickaxe, and that will be the titanium pickaxe. Since you have so much money at this point, you should also just get yourself the large backpack. And what's not better than to just get some more exploding power with this C4 level 3. I promise you that going into the mine this time will be so much more fun. Now let's go for a deep dive. Goodbye yesterday, I'm living the tide of... No matter, okay. At this point, once you reach the green area, what's better is to just place yourself the C4 and just mine sideways. A tip when it comes to C4 is to mine yourself 3 spots in like this and place a C4 inside. This way you're able to explode the maximum of its capacity. And the time where you otherwise would just wait for the C4 to recharge, you can just clean out the bedrock in the middle and just fill up your car with your new ores. What might surprise you, however, is that actually at this point, because your pickaxe is so good and your C4 also explodes such a big area, the best way to actually mine is to actually just mine the base materials like iron and tin. Of course, it isn't as fun of a way to earn money, but if all you want is money as quickly as possible, it's actually just a better way. You can see now that the metals are splitting out evenly towards all the different areas so that they are going into the right machines. And as you can see right here, you can see that the stone are being prospected. And if you're lucky, they might turn into a gem and you will get a lot more value out of the stone. Now what you can see, it's going to be making the different types of electro and they're going to sell for around $3,000. Now what you can see is that when you're using more valuable materials, the electromagnets will get a value of up to 24,000 with titanium and uranium and those minerals. And now the last layout we're going to build is an engine factory. So for $1 million, we can get an engine factory, which combines mechanical parts, metal pipes, and a metal casing to create an engine worth double the combined value. For that, we naturally then need a mechanical parts maker, which cuts metal plates into mechanical parts, adding plus 30 value. And then we also will need a pipe maker that makes metal pipes out of metal plates, adding plus 20 value. Else than that, we're going to need an additional 2 elevators, 1 up and 1 down, and then we're going to need 3-way splitter. All that we need to do is we need to make mechanical parts and metal pipes because metal casing is already being made. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this part right here, and then we're going to add engine factory right here. Okay, so now we're splitting all the metals into 3, but because we need half of the metals to go in this direction, what we're going to do is we're going to just send the metal back into the front, so it's going to get stamped by the plate stamper. Now from here on, only 1/3 is going into the metal casing machine, so we're going to split a 3-way like this, and then add an upwards elevator like so. It's going to go 1, 2, and then 1 to the left, and then do downwards again, facing in the direction like this, which will be going into a pipe maker. And this will then go into the engine. Now for the electromagnetic parts, all we need to do is just need to place 2 conveyors like this, place the mechanical parts maker, and then put the conveyor in like this. Now all we need to do now is just send the conveyors in like this, and we have finished the engine factory. All of the layouts for today's video will be published on the Discord server. The link is in the description. And comment down below if you want a power core assembler factory. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.